Hi, my name is Nicole Cervantes, and the topic that I was assigned to read and present to you guys today was from Stephen Weiland, who's from Michigan State University, and he wrote about teacher education toward liberal education. So to start off, he actually stated his intent for the writing, which I thought was very useful, and he said that the goal for him was to explore how liberal education might be made more important in teacher education. So he's wanting to convince us of how it is a positive thing and should be incorporated in teacher education. So Weiland actually refers to this time, the Golden Age, which is when liberal education was seen as a very positive thing. And for students, they saw it as a way for them to study humanities and social and natural sciences that would liberate them from the limits of their experience. And liberal education could also be a resource for intellectual independence, personal development, and reflective citizenship. So students were actually at this time really excited for liberal education because it helped them to become a more rounded, well-rounded person, and this was seen as a very good thing for undergraduate degrees. However, now in our time, liberal education is not quite seen the same way, and this is mainly because of vocationalism. Vocationalism is when we are studying specific things. So, for instance, as music educators, we in our undergraduate degree, most likely, studied music. So we specialized in a very specific topic. And because of this, liberal education isn't seen as much as a good thing now because it's such a thing in our society that we specifically study one thing and become professional in that. But liberal education is kind of the opposite of that, where we become more well-rounded in many subjects. And students also don't find value in courses outside of their degree now. So I have seen this too, where many students, any topic that isn't specifically what they're getting their degree in, they're just not interested at all because you would expect in your specific degree to be studying that degree. So this next section is actually a very large portion of what Weiland wrote about, and he talked about, he pointed out what people were saying in regards to liberal education and the negatives of it, and then he sort of debunked what they were saying and gave his thoughts and other things. And so I titled this The Critic vs. Weiland, and I just made a little table here of the critic's claims and then Weiland's response. So the first one, it says, teacher educators see liberal education as elitist and indifferent to the demands of practice on pedagogy. And then Weiland responded, liberal education is a way of staying human in a world of inhuman practices. And I really actually love that because it really is inhuman to be studying one specific thing. Because if you think of the past and how humans have been, we're normally very well-rounded and can do multiple things, study multiple things, practice multiple things. But the way our society is now is we're just focused on one specific thing. So liberal education is a way to be more human and to add in new ideas to these inhuman practices. The next one says, under the critics side, teachers don't want to teach outside of their vocation. And Weiland actually discusses this in detail, that this is a very serious issue to what liberal education is that teachers, when they go into their undergraduate, they specialize in one specific thing. For instance, in music education, I studied voice, music education. That was my special thing. And then now it's saying teachers just don't want to go outside of that. And it's very logical because that's what the teachers have studied and they didn't prepare to teach something else. But Weiland's response to this, and actually this is one of my favorite things that he said, I'll highlight it right here. It says, "The aim of liberal education is not estrangement from a discipline, but an enticement to creativity within it." So it's not trying to stray away from what we already know in music. It's simply getting us to be more creative and have new ideas and philosophies within it. And the last one says, critics find a lack of substance in liberal education. And Weiland's response is, key roles of liberal education towards teacher education are multiculturalism, community services, and assessment. So what has been done? There has actually been lots of efforts towards liberal education, despite what it might seem based on where we are now. Schumann had a call for liberal education, and this was in the 80s, and he put a call for it, and nothing really came out of it, although it was very well known. There have been many committees that have been formed in hopes of incorporating liberal education into teacher education. Not very much success. And then there has also been many universities which they list as their learning goals actually lots of liberal education ideas, but in actuality when you look at their curriculum, there's no liberal education included. So there have been many thoughts and intent for liberal education, but it has not played out thus far. So Weiland suggested a few courses that should be for undergraduate students, and these are education technology, educational philosophy, and cultural literacy. For educational technology, there has been a huge need for this because we've already grown so much in technology, and we're only going to grow so much more in the years to come. Liberal education has always included attention to living and working with groups. Education technology requires understanding of how virtual community signifies new forms of electronic communication and how people work and live together. So as you can see, education technology and liberal education line up very well together. And actually in my undergraduate studies, I actually did study music technology, and it was a great course, and it's actually liberal education. Another course that Weiland suggests is educational philosophy. And some of the questions that this course would tackle is, what is human nature? What constitutes human flourishing? And what facilitates growth for beings like us towards that which is good? And a lot of the intent that he stated for this course is that it will help teachers to have a lifelong desire for knowledge. And that is really important for teachers to always want to be learning the newest and adding to their own set of knowledge. And the last course that he suggests is cultural literacy. This is very relevant right now. He says that schools will reproduce divisions of race, class, and gender unless teachers are taught to challenge oppressive assumptions and behaviors. And this is also relevant with the culture wars, which happened in the late 20th century, and it was over what should be included in textbooks. So cultural literacy is very important to teach undergraduate students who are going to be teaching. So Weiland's final suggestion is good enough liberal education. And this phrase is used good enough as in, they say similarly to mothers, as in no mother is perfect, but mothers are good enough. And so this is what he's suggesting that we enforce in liberal education with the courses that I previously stated, and just to have enough liberal education.